In December 2010, in light of the current security environment surrounding Japan, the Japanese government formulated the National Defense Program Guidelines for FY 2011 and beyond, which provide a vision for Japan's future security policy and defense forces. The new guidelines lay out the basic principles of Japan's security policy, along with the basic guidelines for Japan's defense forces, including their significance and roles, organization, equipment and disposition of the SDF, and inventory targets for major equipment. 2010 was an eventful year both in Japan and abroad for the Ministry of Defense and SDF. Let's look back on 2010. The international community today is facing numerous issues, including the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, international terrorism, complex and diverse regional conflicts, and international crimes. With deepening mutual dependency among states and regions stemming from the advancement of the telecommunications network and the globalization of the economy, there is a concern that even events that could occur far from Japan may pose a threat or have an impact on Japan. Based on the notion that the peace and stability of the international community is closely linked to the peace and security of Japan, the Ministry of Defense and the SDF proactively take part in international peace cooperation activities and international disaster relief operations on its own initiative, and have been engaged in about 30 activities in the Middle East, Asia, Africa, Central America, and elsewhere. At present, the SDF are engaged in international peace cooperation activities, including the United States Stabilization Mission in Haiti, or MINUSTA, which was set up to ensure the stabilization of the situation in Haiti in the wake of political and social unrest. Approximately 330 personnel, many of whom are GSDF members, were dispatched to MINUSTA to support the disaster relief efforts in the aftermath of the large-scale earthquake in January 2010, including the construction and repair of camps for evacuees, road repairs, and the removal of rubble from collapsed buildings. As of January 2011, the 3rd unit of the International Relief Team to Haiti is engaged in activities in Haiti. The United Nations Disengagement Observer Force, or UNDOF, monitors the ceasefire between Syria and Israel and the implementation of measures for the separation of their opposing troops in the Golan Heights. A transport unit of 43 SDF personnel has been dispatched to UNDOF, as well as 3 GSDF officers to the UNDOF headquarters, to provide transport and other logistical support. The SDF have been participating in UNDOF activities for about 15 years since February 1996, during which approximately a total of 1,300 SDF personnel have been dispatched. As of January 2011, 46 personnel in the 30th team dispatched to UNDOF, including the 15th team of headquarters staff officers, have been engaged in assistance activities. The United Nations Integrated Mission in Timor-Leste, or UNMIT, provides election support and assists in maintaining and restoring order and security for building a democratic society in East Timor, among other activities. 2 GSDF officers have been dispatched to UNMIT in September 2010 to act as military liaison officers for collecting information on the security situation and other information. The United Nations Mission in Sudan, or UNMISS, performs ceasefire surveillance, provides election support, and coordinates humanitarian assistance in Sudan. 2 GSDF officers have been dispatched to the UNMISS headquarters since October 2008, with the responsibility to undertake logistical coordination and database management. As of January 2011, 2 officers of the 5th Detachment, dispatched since November 2010, are working at the headquarters. The United Nations Mission in Nepal, or UNMIN, has a mandate which includes monitoring the management of arms and armed personnel of the Nepal Army and the Maoist Army as ex-rebel forces during Nepal's post-Civil War transition. 6 GSDF members have been dispatched to UNMIN since 2007 as military observers to monitor the management of arms and armed personnel. In January 2011, pursuant to the decision that UNMIN will leave Nepal, the 4th team of military observers returned to Japan, effectively ending the SDF's participation in international peace cooperation activities in Nepal. In addition to these activities, SDF officers have been dispatched to PKO centers in Africa as instructors since 2008 and have been supporting African countries' own efforts to achieve peace and stability in Africa. In 2010, one instructor, the first female SDF officer, was sent to Egypt in April, and another instructor was sent to Mali in August, following the displacement in 2009. They delivered lectures explaining that what they had learned about civilian-military cooperation was through international peace cooperation activities, including humanitarian reconstruction assistance activities in Iraq. The Ministry of Defense and SDF also actively engage in international disaster relief operations from the standpoint of making a humanitarian contribution and improving the international security environment. In doing so, the SDF take account of requests from governments of disaster-affected countries and their circumstances and make best use of their functions and capacities. One such example is the response to the large-scale earthquake which struck Haiti in January 2010. Upon receiving a request for assistance from the government of Haiti, the Minister for Foreign Affairs of Japan decided to implement airlift operations and medical relief activities in consultation with Japan's Minister of Defense. The airlift operations involved transporting the Japan Disaster Relief Team, comprised mostly of private doctors, from the US to Haiti on January 17th, and on the return trip, transporting 34 earthquake victims. Between January 18th and February 15th, 19 flights between the US and Haiti were conducted. Medical relief activities were implemented from January 23rd to February 13th, and a total of 2,954 patients were treated. These activities were implemented effectively in coordination not only with nearby troops, including the Canadian Army and US military, but also civilian organizations such as NGOs. In Pakistan, record torrential rainfalls from the end of July caused massive flooding. In response to a request from the government of Pakistan to dispatch helicopters, the Ministry of Defense dispatched 3 multipurpose helicopters and 3 transport helicopters to the airbase in Multan in the Punjab province of Pakistan to transport relief materials, and when necessary, personnel in flood-affected areas. Transport operations were conducted from August 31st to October 10th. About 260 tons of food, water, medical supplies, and other items, and 49 personnel were transported during this period. These operations require a particularly speedy response. Therefore, the Central Readiness Force and designated regional units of the GSDF maintain their readiness to ensure that in principle they can carry out these operations independently anytime the need arises. Furthermore, the fleet of the MSDF and Air Support Command of ASDF maintain their readiness that will participate in international disaster relief operations, as well as transport supplies to these participating units. The SDF, during times of disasters, conducts a variety of operations including search and rescue for disaster victims, missing ships and aircraft, flood prevention, medical relief, epidemic prevention, water supply, transportation of personnel, and relief supplies. The SDF plays a large role in diverse contingencies. In April of 2010, an outbreak of foot-and-mouth disease occurred in Miyazaki Prefecture, infecting livestock such as cows and pigs. As a result of the spread of the disease, on May 1st of the same year, a request for disaster relief dispatch was made by the governor of Miyazaki Prefecture to the commander of the 43rd Infantry Regiment. Emergency measures were required to prevent further outbreaks. Hence, for approximately 3 months from May 1st to July 27th, the SDF carried out sterilization operations including the burial of livestock, the cleaning of warehouses, and 24-hour-a-day vehicle disinfection operations at sterilizing points. In response to the foot-and-mouth disease, about a total of 18,720 personnel and about 4,140 vehicles, including specially equipped vehicles, were dispatched. In addition, heavy rainfall battered Amami-Oshima Island in Kagoshima Prefecture, and a disaster relief request was made by the governor on October 21st. The SDF carried out a search and rescue mission, conducted relief efforts for residents of isolated communities, and transported relief supplies, among other activities. About 1,450 personnel, 470 vehicles, and 24 aircraft were dispatched for these operations. The Ministry of Defense and the SDF carry out a variety of disaster drills on a daily basis in order to respond swiftly to disasters. For example, on National Disaster Prevention Day, a Ministry of Defense comprehensive disaster prevention exercise is carried out, cooperating with organs concerned. This exercise includes participation in Government Headquarters Management Exercise, Shizuoka Prefecture's Comprehensive Disaster Prevention Exercise, and comprehensive disaster prevention exercises carried out by 9 municipalities in the Kanto region. Acts of piracy are a serious threat to the preservation of public safety and order at sea. To maritime countries such as Japan in particular, which rely upon marine transport for a great deal of the food and resources that form the basis of their survival and prosperity, it is a problem which cannot be ignored. In particular, pirates off the coast of Somalia and in the Gulf of Aden have become a major issue in recent years. The waters off the coast of Somalia and in the Gulf of Aden are part of vital sea routes for international maritime transportation, linking Europe and Asia through the Suez Canal. However, it is the very area where we are now facing a surge of piracy, including many cases of hijacking. While many countries are tackling this issue, Japan has also taken necessary countermeasures. One major step is the enactment of the Law on the Penalization of Acts of Piracy and Measures Against Acts of Piracy, or the so-called Anti-Piracy Law. This law has enabled Japan to protect foreign vessels, not limited to those related to Japan, from acts of piracy and to punish acts of piracy as criminal acts under Japanese law. On the scene, 2 destroyers position themselves in front and in back of commercial ships, keeping this position while moving between 2 points in the eastern and western areas of the Gulf of Aden. In 2010, in response to a surge of piracy activities in the eastern part of the Gulf of Aden, the escort route during the non-monsoon season was extended by about 200 kilometers to the east. The Ministry of Defense and the SDF are also engaged in air surveillance. Fixed-wing patrol aircraft, or P3Cs, conduct surveillance and information gathering, and provide information to destroyers and commercial ships across the sea. The GSDF guards the airbase at Djibouti International Airport, where the P3C aircraft are stationed. The ASDF uses C-130H transport aircraft and other aircraft to transport supplies. The three self-defense forces, ground, maritime, and air, have made united efforts to tackle piracy. They have made a number of achievements, and their activities have been highly praised by other countries. As of March 7, 2011, 1,697 vessels have been escorted since the first escorting operation on March 30, 2009. "423 air surveillance operations have also been carried out by P3Cs, speaking to the achievements being made by these operations. 2010 was a milestone year, being the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Japan-US Security Treaty. On this memorable year, Japan and the US agreed to further expand and enhance their security cooperation and advance the process to deepen the Japan-US alliance, with the Japan-US security arrangements at its core. This milestone year of the 50th anniversary of the conclusion of the Japan-US Security Treaty presented a good opportunity to explain to the people the significance of the Japan-US security arrangements and the current status of the Japan-US defense cooperation, as well as to forge closer cooperative relations with the US forces. As such, various commemorative events were held. Throughout the year, the Ministry of Defense made efforts with a view to contributing towards strengthening the Japan-US security arrangements, making the most out of various opportunities, from government initiatives to events of SDF units. This year, Japan-US joint exercises were held in Japan's surrounding sea and airspaces and other areas. Japan and the US practiced their joint response mechanisms, demonstrating to people in and outside of Japan the solidarity which exists between the two countries. The Ministry of Defense and the SDF proactively promote security dialogue and defense cooperation and exchanges, in addition to international peace cooperation activities. With various countries, the Ministry of Defense has been engaged in exchanges of defense ministers and high-level officials, regular consultations between defense officials, and exchanges between units. To ensure peace and stability in the Asia-Pacific region, it is important that Japan enhances the bilateral and multilateral dialogue frameworks of the region in a complementary and multi-layered manner, with the Japan-US alliance as the cornerstone. Japan believes that it is important to build multi-layered security architectures and to take steady steps to deepen concrete regional cooperation. On this basis, Japan takes initiative to advance regional security cooperation. As part of these efforts, Japan participated in Pacific Partnership 2010. Pacific Partnership, which has been held since 2007, is designed to strengthen partnerships with participating countries and practice the skills that will enable the smooth implementation of international disaster relief activities, in which U.S. Navy ships, including other participants visiting countries in the region, provide a variety of medical services, conduct cultural exchanges, and other activities. At that time, cooperation among governments, militaries, international organizations, and NGOs are developed. Since 2007, Japan has dispatched several personnel, including medical officers from the MSDF, to conduct surveys and research. In Pacific Partnership 2010, which was held from May to July 2010, the MSDF transport vessel Kunisaki and medical teams from the GSDF, MSDF, and ASDF participated. In addition, in cooperation with civilian groups such as NGOs, the SDF treated about 1,700 people in Vietnam and about 2,700 people in Cambodia, and held cultural exchange programs at local schools. Participation is important in promoting mutual understanding and cooperative relationships among the participating countries and helping to enhance operational skills, including medical activities and international disaster relief activities and international peace cooperation operations. It also provides valuable opportunities to learn the necessary know-how for cooperation with civilian organizations. In October 2010, the first official defense ministers meeting in the Asia-Pacific region, the first ADMM+, was held in Hanoi. 10 ASEAN countries and 8 dialogue partners, including Japan, participated, and an active exchange of views took place on the security of the region. In addition, Defense Minister Kitazawa held bilateral meetings with ministers of participating countries, such as the US, Australia, and other ASEAN countries. Also, Minister Kitazawa had a conversation with Chinese Defense Minister Liang Guanji. One of the initiatives undertaken by Japan includes the Forum for Defense Authorities in the Asia-Pacific region, or Tokyo Defense Forum. In 2010, the forum was held from September 14th through to the 17th. The forum is held annually among defense authorities on the Asia-Pacific countries to exchange views on security cooperation of the region to enhance mutual understanding and transparency. Furthermore, since 2009, the Ministry of Defense has been hosting the Japan-ASEAN Senior Defense Officials Meeting aimed at fostering personal relationships between Japan and ASEAN countries. At the second meeting in March 2010, an exchange of views took place on non-traditional security challenges and security architectures and cooperation of the Asia-Pacific region. Participating in and hosting multilateral exercises are important from the standpoint that they will contribute not only to improving various skills of the SDF, but also to establishing the foundation for building cooperative relationships with participating countries through various kinds of coordination and exchanges of views. In 2010, the SDF proactively engaged in multilateral exercises. In February, the SDF participated in Cobra Gold 2010 held in Thailand. In June, it took part in the Japan-US-Australia joint exercise, and between June and August, it participated in RIMPOC 2010. On September 14, 2010, Prime Minister Kan was re-elected as President of the Democratic Party of Japan. On September 17th, the Prime Minister reshuffled the cabinet and launched a new administration. Minister of Defense Kitazawa was reappointed. On September 22nd, House of Representatives member Jun Azumi was appointed to the post of Parliamentary Senior Vice Minister of Defense. House of Representatives member Daisuke Matsumoto and House of Councilors member Hajime Hirota were appointed to the post of Parliamentary Vice Minister of Defense. Efficient and effective research and development of appropriate defense equipment are of critical importance to improving the defense capability of Japan. It is also imperative for Japan as an independent nation to maintain the necessary production and technological base for defense equipment in Japan, in order to ensure its own security. For this purpose, the Ministry of Defense has been working to acquire new equipment through research and development. The Technical Research and Development Institute of the Ministry of Defense completed the development of the Type 10 main battle tank to replace the current tanks. The Type 10 main battle tank has enhanced firepower, higher mobility, and improved protection capabilities. It is also smaller, lighter, and suitable for deployment across Japan, and has advanced C-41 functionalities. The Ministry of Defense also promoted programs to enhance the defense capability against ballistic missiles. The XC-2 next-generation transport aircraft, which was developed to replace Japan's C-1 transport aircraft and which has a largely enhanced flight range and carry load, successfully made its first test flight. In addition, in light of the security environment surrounding Japan, the Ministry of Defense streamlined the units of the SDF and reinforced their functions. In March 2010, the 1st Combined Brigade of the GSDF in Okinawa was reorganized and enhanced as the 15th Brigade to reinforce the defense arrangements for the southwestern islands. Also, in March 2010, a military intelligence command was established to strengthen the intelligence functions of the GSDF in response to the growing importance of defense intelligence. With respect to the ASDF, the 404th Squadron, which operates the KC-767 tanker and transport aircraft and is in charge of aerial refueling of fighter aircraft and air transport, began operations with 4 aircraft in April. In August, the squadron conducted its first overseas mission in Haiti. On August 29, 2010, the Fuji Firepower Review was held at the East Fuji Maneuver Area located in Gotemba City, Shizuoka Prefecture. This year's event was blessed again with beautiful weather. The powerful exercises that unfolded in front of the crowd drew large applause and cheers from the many people who attended. The Firepower Review is one of the GSDF exercises which is open to the public and is the most popular of the events organized by the GSDF. Visitors are able to have a first-hand look at the tanks, helicopters, and a variety of live fire artillery drills. On October 24, 2010, the troop review was held at GSDF Camp Asaka in commemoration of the anniversary of the foundation of the SDF. These events commemorate the foundation of the SDF and are held for the purpose of raising personnel's awareness of their mission and elevating their morale, as well as deepening the people's understanding of and trust in the SDF. Each year, the troop review is organized by either the GSDF, MSDF, or ASDF. This year, the GSDF was in charge. The troop review welcomed Prime Minister Khan as review officer. With about 3,800 personnel, 240 vehicles, and 60 aircraft taking part, the troop review attracted many visitors. The SDF Marching Band Festival was held on November 19th and 20th, 2010. The festival is held as an annual commemorative event in Nippon Budokan around November, and is the largest SDF music event. This year's festival featured high-level performances by the musical bands of the GSDF, MSDF, and ASDF, and guests. The U.S. Army Japan Band, the U.S. Navy's 3rd Marine Expeditionary Force Band, the Singapore Armed Forces Band, and the U.S. Army Bandmaster clarinetist. The festival also featured performances of drills and Japanese taiko drums, and audiences enjoyed powerful performances that may not be heard at traditional concerts. Regional defense bureaus across Japan hold seminars on defense issues to raise people's understanding of the Ministry of Defense and the SDF. The seminars, which include discussion sessions and debates, provide an introduction to the activities of the Ministry of Defense, including PKO in Haiti and anti-piracy measures, in an easy-to-understand way. In December 2010, in light of the current security environment surrounding Japan, the Japanese government formulated the National Defense Program Guidelines for FY 2011 and beyond, which provide a vision for Japan's future security policy and defense forces. The formulation of the new guidelines is an important issue for Japan's national security. In order for adequate consideration to be given by the new government following the historical change in administrations, the Council on the Future of National Security and Defense Capabilities in the New Era, whose members include experts in areas related to security and defense capabilities, held meetings and submitted a report to the Prime Minister. Afterwards, the government made further discussions, using the report as a source of reference at Security Council meetings and meetings among relevant ministers. In order to contribute to the government deliberations, the Ministry of Defense also explored such issues as the role of defense forces and the posture of the GSDF, MSDF, and ASDF. One of the highlights of the new guidelines is the concept of developing a dynamic defense force. The new guidelines provide that Japan should no longer base its defense on the traditional defense concept of the basic defense force concept. Instead, they place priority on developing a dynamic defense force that possesses readiness, mobility, flexibility, sustainability, and versatility, and is supported by advanced technology based on the trends of military technology levels and intelligence capabilities. Next is the structural reform of the defense forces by choosing truly necessary functions on which to concentrate resources. In order to respond to the increasingly complex security environment, Japan will steadily build an appropriate-sized defense force. Japan will choose truly necessary defense functions on which to concentrate resources, and thereby produce more outcomes with limited resources. Specifically, Japan prioritizes the improvement of functions such as surveillance, maritime patrol, air defense, and response to ballistic missile attacks. For this purpose, Japan will reduce its inventory of tanks, artillery, and other equipment, while increasing the number of submarines. The last is a drastic review of the SDF personnel management system. Japan will seek to curb personnel costs and improve efficiency as well as increase the strength of SDF personnel by lowering its average age. These initiatives will lead to improving the structure of the defense budget, which has a high proportion of personnel costs that currently suppresses the expenditure for the SDF's activities. In addition, the new guidelines launched many other initiatives, including the establishment of a body concerning national security in the Prime Minister's office, which will be responsible for national security policy coordination and for advising the Prime Minister. Based on the new National Defense Program guidelines, the Ministry of Defense and the SDF will seek the understanding of the people of Japan. And in order to meet the expectations of the people and earn their trust, we will do our utmost to carry out our missions, while responding to each of these changes in a sincere manner. On January 14, 2011, Prime Minister Kan reshuffled the cabinet, and the reshuffled second Kan cabinet was launched. Minister of Defense Kitazawa was reappointed once again. On January 18th, House of Councilors member Katsuya Ogawa was appointed to the post of Parliamentary Senior Vice Minister of Defense. The Ministry of Defense and the SDF will continue to carry out a broad range of activities for Japan's national defense and for international peace.